Okay, member of the host, with food positioning case raising, we must question whether the free nutrition program truly protect children or expose them to danger. We believe MBG now causes more harm than good through unsafe meals and harmful dependency. For this reason, we are proud to propose this motion. Okay, the free nutritious meals or MBG program is dangerous for children and cannot be continued, especially since there have been actual cases of mass poisoning in various regions. This program, which was essentially well intended, has turned into a serious threat to children's safety due to weak supervision, poor hygiene standard, and uniform food distribution quality. Children's safety is far more important than hastily implementing a program without a proper system in place. We believe that the MBG is currently not only ineffective but also potentially harmful to children's health due to the inconsistent quality of food production. When thousands to millions of meals must be processed quickly to meet program target, the risk of using stale ingredients, unhygienic cooking process, and substandard temperature distribution increase. The fact that there have already been cases of poisoning improve that this mechanism has failed to protect the children. With so many cases of child poisoning, it should be not called free nutrition meals, but free meals. Why? Because nutrition is not a priority in this program, and many children have already fallen victim to it. In our opinion, the government capacity to supervise the food production chain is not yet ready. From the production kitchen, storage, transportation, to distribution in schools, everything requires very strict standard. However, in reality, Indonesia has thousands of schools with varying conditions, many of which do not have adequate storage facilities. As a result, the food distributed is often not temperature controlled, easily spoiled or contaminated. This lack of infrastructure make it impossible to implement the MBG program safely on a large scale. If this program continues, it can be concluded that the MBG program actually normalizes dangerous risks for children. When cases of poisoning have already occurred, but the program is forced to continue, the government indirectly shows that children's safety can be sacrificed for the sake of the programs. This creates a bad precedent that major policies can be implemented even if they still endanger the public. The government should learn from its mistakes, not repeat them.
I argue that the recent food poisoning incidents reflect lapse in local execution, not inherent flaws in program makan bergizi gratis, and thus can be resolved with better oversight rather than by abolishing a program that plays a vital role in tackling chronic malnutrition and growth problems among children. If MBG is dismantled because of isolated implementation failures, millions of children will be deprived of the only reliable nutrition meal they receive daily, which will likely worsen hunger, stunting, and educational inequalities across Indonesia. Indeed, the need for MBG is underscored by data based on the 2024 national survey by Kemenkes. The prevalence of stunting among children under 5 has only recently dropped to 19.8%. that still represent millions of children at risk of long-term growth and cognitive impairment. Moreover, MBG is more than just a program. It's strategic intervention aimed at breaking the cycle of malnutrition and stunting, which impair physical growth, brain development, immunity, and future economic productivity. Where properly implemented, MBG already demonstrate promise in improving children's nutrition, enhancing their ability to concentrate in school, and narrowing the nutritional gap between wealthier and poorer regions. Rather than discarding the program, the government should seize the current concern as a call to action. Invest in stricter hygiene protocols, certified kitchen, cold chain logistics, supplier vetting, and real-time monitoring to ensure that MBG fulfills its mission safely and effectively. In short, MBG is not a danger. It is a crucial long-term investment in human capital and the future of Indonesia's kitchen.
The opposition insists that poisoning incidents are local execution errors, but they fail to address the core fact. These errors happen because the system is fundamentally unprepared for a mass-scale program like MBG. When you force millions of meals to be produced and distributed daily without nationwide cold chain infrastructure, without standardized kitchen, and without qualified food handlers, poisoning isn't an accident. It is an inevitability. The opposition tries to minimize the danger by calling this incident isolated, yet cases have emerged from multiple provinces within weeks. This reflects systemic fragility, not coincidence. If the program collapses on a small scale, expanding it nationally only multiplies the risk and endangers far more children. They also claim MBG is necessary to fight malnutrition. We agree, nutrition matters. But unsafe nutrition is worse than no nutrition. A program meant to reduce stunting should not simultaneously create hospitalizations. The opposition romanticizes the benefits while ignoring the severe public health hazards already occurring. Their argument that we can fix the system while continuing the program is unrealistic. You cannot fix a plane while it's flying, especially when the passengers are children. The responsible step is to pause or halt the program until strict enforceable standards and national level infrastructure exists. Continuing MBG in its current form normalizes the idea that government policies may proceed even if children get hurt. This is a dangerous precedent. The government stands firm. A program that cannot guarantee safety should not be implemented. No matter how noble its goals, children's lives must come before political promises.
So, the government argues that poisoning is inevitable because the system is unprepared. But this confuses implementation failure with a failure of the MBG program itself. If infrastructure and supervision are weak, the solution is to strengthen them, not to eliminate the only nutritional safety net millions of children have. Multiple provincial cases do not prove MBG is unworkable. They show inconsistent regional oversight. Programs in India, South Korea, and Japan faced similar issues early on, yet none were halted. They improved hygiene standards, monitoring, and vendor selection. Indonesia can do the same. Government member Diaz claims that unsafe nutrition is worse than no nutrition, ignoring that no nutrition is already harming children through hunger, stunting, and poor academic performances. Removing MBG pushes children towards cheap, unsafe street food with zero regulation and even greater risks. The analogy, you can't fix a plane while it's flying, does not apply to social policy. Education, healthcare, and social aid programs are fixed while operating all the time. Halting MBG immediately deepens nutritional inequality and has long-term developmental consequences. Continuing the program does not normalize harm. When normalizes harm is abandoning a solution instead of addressing weak supervision. MBG is not the danger, poor enforcement is, and that is fixable.
The opposition underestimated the severity of repeated poisoning incidents and treated them as minor administrative glitches rather than systematic red flags. A program that repeatedly fails to meet basic safety standards should be paused until it can guarantee that it is not actively endangering children. Strengthening oversight is important, but it cannot come at the cost of continuing a program that has already demonstrated an unacceptable level of risk. The MBG program slowly makes families passive about their own nutrition. Instead of checking food quality or teaching children healthy habits, many parents simply wait for whatever the government sends. This shifts people's mindset from responsibility to entitlement, even if households that can actually provide food of their own. And when poisoning happens, communities don't learn to be more careful. They just demand more state to help, repeating the same dependency cycle. So the harm is not only unsafe meals, it is the long-term behavioral damage where people stop taking ownership of their nutrition. The situation becomes worse in places where the program is implemented unevenly, especially in treaty regions. Remote communities receive the cheapest supplies and the weakest safety checks. A clear example is in Papua. In a Highland school in Lanijaya, bread and milk are delivered through long trucks, roads, and small boats. The milk spoils during the trip, but no inspector ever comes to verify it. Teachers with no alternatives give it to the children. When several students fall sick, the nearest clinic is an hour away on foot. With limited medical equipment, a simple food poisoning case becomes a serious emergency. This shows that the program harms the most vulnerable children hardest. Those who already face limited access to quality food and healthcare become the one exposed to the biggest risk. Instead of reducing inequality, the MBG program unintentionally deepens it by using poor and remote communities as testing ground of its weakest implementation. So our extension is this. MBG does not only create unsafe meals, it is reshape public behavior in harmful ways and reinforce existing inequality. The problem is structural, not accidental, and it places the biggest burden on children in places like Papua, who has the least ability to protect themselves.
Okay, first, we need to understand that the recent food poisoning cases do not prove that the MBG program is fundamentally flawed. What is problematic is the implementation, not the purpose. The program was created to address long-standing structural issues that have been the roots of many social problems, such as malnutrition, stunting, unequal access to healthy food, and the economic struggle of low-income families. Without an initiative like MBG, children from poor households would have no protection at all. They would remain trapped in a cycle of undernutrition that affect both their health and their learning ability. When children receive proper nutrition at school, they do not simply feel full. They receive the physical and mental foundation needed to healthy development. Good nutrition has been proven to enhance concentration, strengthen the immune system, and improve academic performance. This means the benefits extend far beyond the dining area that directly influence the quality of education. A healthy child is more likely to attend school consistently, participate actively in class, and grow into a productive generations. In addition, we must also look at the economic impact. The MBG program creates opportunities for local suppliers, including farmers, small food businesses, and distribution services, to participate in the production chain. This means that the funds allocated by the government circulate back into the community, functioning as a form of social investment that generates a multiplier effect for the local economy. If the program were to be stopped simply because of a few poisoning incidents, millions of families and small businesses would lose the benefits they have been relying on. I also want to emphasize that other countries running similar programs, Japan's Kyosoku, India's midday meal, South Korea's, and US school lunch program, have also experienced issues related to food quality. However, they never stopped the program. Instead, they strengthened their monitor system, tightened vendor selection, and enforced higher quality standards. That is exactly the approach we should be taking. The problem does not lie in the concept of the MBG program itself, but in how it is being carried out. What we need is stricter supervision and improved implementations. Therefore, stopping the MBG program because of a few incidents will not solve the problem. In fact, it would create even bigger issues. This program is a long-term investment that directly impacts the health, education, and future of Indonesian children. If it is discontinued, the losses will be far greater than the risks that are currently being addressed. That is why I firmly argue that the MBG program is not a source of harm. On the contrary, it is an essential foundation for building a healthy, intelligent, and competitive young generation.
Okay. In our conclusion, as the government team, the MBG program brings far more harm than benefit, and that is the core of our position. The recurring poisoning cases are not isolated accidents but symptoms of a system that was forced to operate on a massive scale without proper supervision, hygiene standards, or infrastructure. This creates not only physical danger for children, but also deeper social damage. Communities become dependent on the state, nutritional independence weakens, and inequality in 3T regions grows even worse. The opposing side claims that the program's purpose is good and only the implementation is flawed, but this ignores the real issue. MBG was designed too large and too fast, making failure inevitable. Good nutrition only helps if the food is safe. Yet the meals provided are often low quality and even harmful. Comparing Indonesia to Japan or Korea is irrelevant because those countries have far stronger food safety systems. Continuing MBG despite repeated poisoning means prioritizing the program over children's safety. Therefore, the responsible position is to stop MBG and replace it with safer, more realistic nutrition systems. Ending this program is not rejecting progress, it is preventing greater long-term harm and protecting the generation we claim to serve.
Today, government has painted MBG as a dangerous program that creates dependency and sacrifices children's safety. However, as opposition whip, I will show you why their extension is deeply flawed, why our solutions are practical, and why opposition has won this debate. Let me address government's extension about structural dependency. They argue MBG creates passive communities waiting for the state. But this fundamentally misunderstands poverty. When 1 in 4 Indonesian children suffer from stunting, when families earn less than $2 a day, talking about nutritional independence is not just unrealistic, it's cruel. You cannot build independence on an empty stomach. Second, government claims MBG shift mentality from responsibility to entitlement. Wrong. MBG provides a foundation for families to escape poverty. When children eat well, they learn better, they get better jobs and become economically independent. This is not dependency, this is a development pathway to proven in India, Brazil, and also South Korea. About inequality in three regions, government says poor children become test subjects. But here's the contradiction. If we remove MBG, those same children will have zero access to nutritious food. Governments offer to replacement except telling poor families to be independent without resource. Lastly, they claim continuing MBG means prioritizing program over safety. False framing. The real question is, fix a program feeding 3 million children daily or abandon them because of incidents affecting hundreds. Opposition fixed the system, but the government abandons children. Now, let me defend our extension. We establish MBG problems are implementation issue, not fundamental flaws. My team showed concrete solutions that work globally. First, poisoning cases prove weak monitoring can be straight. Japan, India, South Korea, and even the US all face early hygiene challenges. Non-cancel their problems. They improve supervisions, hygiene standards, and temperature control. Indonesia can do the same. Second, government said infrastructure makes implementation impossible. This is a backwards logic because infrastructure improve because program like MBG create demand for it. Investment in cold chain storage and proper kitchens benefit the entire food system. Canceling MBG means never building that infrastructure. Third, without MBG, children buy from unregulated street vendors without zero oversight. MBG lets government monitor vendors, set standards, and enforce penalties. Governments wants to remove our only food safety mechanism for poor children. So, let me summarize why opposition won. The first one, my team exposed the real choice. Fix MBG implementation or abandon 3 million children to worse alternative. We prove food safety issues exist in every large-scale program. We prove food safety issues exist in every large-scale program, but successful countries improve system rather than cancel them. MBG provide more oversight than unregulated street food. Infrastructure can be upgraded while programs continue. Second, government sacrificed daily nutrition for 3 million children because of hundreds of preventable cases. They offer no alternative, no plan, or for how poor families will feed their children. Opposition saved millions children from stunting and malnutrition and also fixes food safety through better supervision and infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate isn't about whether food poisoning is serious. It is serious, deadly serious. But it is about whether we respond the solutions. Government's position is reactionary. Problems appear, destroy the program. But opposition is progressive. Problems appear, fix the system. Every rupiah investors produce multiple returns in future productivity. MBG represents equal opportunity, health equity, and long-term development. The program has correctable flaws, but leaving millions without nutritional support is far from harmful. Therefore, opposition stand firms the free nutritious program causes more good than harm and must be continued with systematic improvement. Lastly, running a new policy always has a risk, but what we will do is reduce the risk. Thank you.